All right, continuing on the cold fusion. Basically, if you have say an arc like a hot and a cold, if you take battery cables and you connect them and you touch them together, you get a bright flash, an arc. Okay, we use MIG welders, arc welders. This stuff basically uses current, electricity, to create an arc and heat to mend metal together or weld metal together. Now, if you have an arc plasma, this is where all this stuff correlates with each other. An arc, plasma, electricity, energy, thermoelectric energy, thermodynamics. Basically, when this arc, this small red star, is burning, the heat from it is creating its own current. Basically, what it's doing is it's sustaining itself, just like a regular star does. A star has like an equilibrium. Like our star is basically a main sequence star, okay? Every star has a main sequence. Basically, when this thing regulates, it's regulating itself through its heat once it gets going. It took the power from, I'm wanting to say, there's a thermoelectric generator beneath the Sphinx, and the Sphinx is the heat sink. Now, these are just theories, but they do deserve some attention because I've done a really ridiculous, redundant amounts of research on all this stuff. I mean, and it's been an obsession, literally. It's been an obsession since I was 5 years old, literally. And that's no joke. Since I've heard of the Ark of the Covenant when I was 5 years old, I've been obsessed with it. I've wanted to know everything about it. And ironically, when you do the measurements right, you get 666. When you add them up, you get 666. But also, you get carbon, which is 666, which, we are 666. Carbon molecules, or atoms. Anyway, now, when you have this cold fusion, you have to have certain elements. Okay, now Tesla knew, by studying a lot of Tesla's work, the 369, what he was talking about, was lithium, fluorite, and carbon. Now, we know that carbon has special properties, okay? I mean, where it's so hard, nanotubes and stuff like that, and its electrical properties, like carbon capacitors. I mean, they discharge slowly and they charge very quickly. Carbon batteries would be the newest thing. I mean, it would revolutionize power. Okay, then you have lithium. We all know why lithium-ion batteries are important. I'm looking at one. Then you have fluorite. Now, fluorite is a crystal, and it is the most electronegative element on the periodic table. So you need that electronegativity. Now, when you think of a thermoelectric generator, you have P-type and N-type material, okay, which helps produce more of a positive and a negative charge. You can direct the current, basically. So when you have the lithium, the carbon, and the fluorite put together, all of these structures are actually trigonal, okay? And if you consider there's another triangle inside the pyramid, you have a 10-sided pyramid, you have a hexagon, okay? You have the Star of David, okay, which is ironic. And it's also 6 sides, and the Tree of Life and all the coincidences behind all that. All of these structures, all the molecules, are all trigonal, which leads to a hexagonal crystalline structure, or its molecular structure. All of my keys that I have at the house, all of the work I've done on my research, I've pretty much found all the irony between all the molecular physics behind it. You have to have the right molecules, and that's why they're pyramids, because a pyramid is the strongest, next to a sphere, obviously, it's the strongest structure. It's the most stable. And trigonal molecules are important because it syncs everything up. See how everything is symbiotic. They matched everything. They basically used the best properties of these elements. We didn't rely on money back then. They used the best of their capabilities, the best possible, most efficient thing they could do. That's how they did it. The pyramids produce power in several ways, but it's mainly a thermoelectric generator with a star inside it. It's actually a giant radio also. It's set up exactly like a crystal diagram. I mean, if you look up a crystal radio diagram, you'll literally see that you can actually put the antenna and where a coil would be, where a diode would be, where the hot in the ground would be. You could literally put all this stuff together. Now, I don't know where they were getting alpha particles. I don't know if it was radium or uranium. But I'd hate to throw any kind of biblical stuff out there. I really don't want to do that. But it just indicates that there was some kind of radiation coming from the Ark of the Covenant. And gold is ironically a very good shielding agent when it comes to radiation. So it allows for radiation not to be able to penetrate. Radiation can't penetrate through gold, basically is what I'm saying. So it's perfect. It's a perfect insulator for radiation. So I think also they've tried to rebuild the Ark of the Covenant, and they found out that it was a condenser. And this has always been a theory of mine, and I found out what kind of condenser. It was a radioisotope. And the kind of capacitor it was a thermoelectric capacitor. If you look up a thermoelectric generator, look up the King's Chamber, look up lightning arresters, look up the Thoth type Y and type T stars. Basically, all of this stuff coincides. There is a clean and clear-cut picture. And if you add all the things up, connect all the dots, piece all the gaps, then you'll find the truth behind why they worship the stars. Because they emulated a star. It was cold fusion on a smaller level. Now consider this. A CPU, a North Bridge processor, and South Bridge processor. These are what's on a motherboard. If you look at the pyramids of Giza, they look just like a motherboard, okay? I think the government actually knows what this thing did. Also, if you consider this, what's inside a CPU? Pure energy, because core computing is pure energy. What else is pure energy? A star, cold fusion. So whatever's happening inside that giant CPU is pure energy. It seems just a little too coincidental. What else was there? I can't remember. I'll remember whenever I turn the camera off, I guarantee you. But what I'm saying is, all of this stuff coincides. And if anyone else would do some research too, I mean, I'm sure there's been a lot of people that put this stuff together. I'm just trying to fill in some of the gaps that stuff, even research they've figured out that made these connections. But I'm throwing some info out there. I'm just trying to be informative.